In retirement planning, some questions are definitely better than others. A good question helps you reframe how you think about your money and improve the quality of your financial decisions. In our last episode, we talked about how to reframe 5 key questions to improve the quality of your answers for a better retirement. In today's episode, we're going to reframe another 5 questions.
It's easy to get lost on the way to retirement. Things like taxes, improper planning, and excessive market risk can all lead you astray from your goal of a successful and happy retirement. That's where Liz Whittaberry comes in. She's a holistic financial advisor and the founder of Best Path Advisors, and she can help guide you to a better financial path. This is Retire on Your Best Path with Liz Whittaberry.
Welcome in once again to Retire on Your Best Path with Liz Whittaberry, founder and financial advisor at Best Path Advisors. And it's part 2, Liz, of our conversation, as you teed up in the intro there, about why better questions maybe could help build better retirements. And so if you didn't listen to the first 5 on the first episode, go check that out. You don't have to listen to that in order to get some information from this one, but it certainly might not be a bad idea. And of course, you can find all the podcasts, right, and everything from Liz and her YouTube information as well, our YouTube channel, and lots of good content there at bestpathadvisors.com. That's bestpathadvisors.com. Liz, we are post-Turkey Day. How you doing? How you feeling?
Yeah, I am feeling good. Now, we actually just made a ham.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's been a while. I love turkey, but I am the only one that loves turkey. And
okay. So
all the guys like the ham.
Gotcha.
And I like ham, so that's what we did.
Okay, yeah, we usually do turkey for Thanksgiving and ham for Christmas. So
we do fajitas for Christmas.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
a little Tex-Mex or something going on.
I used to do the traditional for both, and that's a lot of work. And so we have gone to doing the fajitas for Christmas. Everyone loves it, and I do too. Makes it easy.
We do Christmas chili for Christmas Eve, and so my mom's she's made chili forever, and so while she's with us, we still continue to have her chili on Christmas Eve, and then we do the ham on Christmas Day. So good stuff, right? So hopefully everybody has a good holiday, had a good holiday, and the rest of the month as well. So with that said, I guess we should dive in, Liz, and tackle these other 5 questions that, standard questions that maybe reframing them a little bit might help you yield better results, right? So we'll start with the dreaded and age-old Social Security question. Should I take it, at 62 or max it out at 70, right? So often people just want to know, I just need to turn it on, right, kind of thing. So what's the best time, or is there an optimal time?
I think it depends on your situation. When I look at people's situation, it's different for different couples. It depends on their age difference, how long they might live. Do they have family longevity? Do they not have family longevity? Do they have health issues? Are they really healthy? And then just looking at what other assets and income they have coming in. And that's completely different for everybody. There's a lot of talk right now about, if you don't wait to age 70, then you've made a mistake because you're not getting the biggest number. But if you do wait to age 70, you forgo any of the income in the in-between years. And that could be very important to turn on earlier so that you can turn on some spousal benefits or turn on some other family benefits. I've had couples that have adopted a grandchild. And if they turn theirs on, then they get benefits for that grandchild, things like that. And waiting to age 70, that's good for the later years of life. Like if you live past, say, age 85, you're going to have more money in total. But you wait quite a long time before you have that crossover point. So I think you have to look at, how does it look if I turn on early, or how does it look if I turn on later? How many people are impacted by this decision? And then which makes the most sense for me in my situation? There's not a one size fits all when it comes to Social Security.
Yeah. And how does it fit within your overall strategy, right? Not just a kind of a side component.
Right.
Which a lot of people, I think, do, right? They're like, well, we've got all this nest egg stuff and then Social Security. I was like, well, let's put this all together, right, as part of that overall income strategy.
Yeah. Don't make that decision in its own little bubble. Like it doesn't impact the whole rest of your world. It does.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely thinking about the spousal piece as well, right? Certainly
Yes.
an option you got to keep in mind as well.
Especially now that they eliminated that WEP.
Right. Yeah.
And the government pension offset, because people that would not have gotten a spousal benefit are now getting a nice spousal benefit.
Very true. Very true.
And you can't turn that on unless the worker turns theirs on.
You got to have that strategy, right? I mean, at the end of the day, right? It's just, if you throw this in willy nilly as an add-on piece, you could cost yourself really a good chunk of money, as well as your loved one, when the first person passes on. So,
yes. Yeah, those survivor benefits are important.
Yeah, they are for sure. Okay. To paraphrase a little Shakespeare here, Liz, to mortgage or not to mortgage? that is the question, right? Should we pay it off before I retire is often what people want to know.
And I think it provides a lot of peace of mind to have it paid off. There is that, and I totally support that. But I think if you're looking at it from the financial perspective, then you want to think about, well, how does this payment impact your cash flow? What interest rate are you paying on this? Is it, if you've got 2% locked in, that's a very low interest rate that you can't get these days. And then what are your plans for your house over your retirement? Are you going to stay there? Are you looking to downsize in the future? There's a lot of thinking that goes into how you're going to use that house. So if the mortgage fits in the cash flow, it's a very low rate. It doesn't hurt to keep it. But if you've got the money to pay it off, then it doesn't hurt to pay it off and have that peace of mind either. I think this is one of those that you have to talk through. How do both people feel about it, as well as look at how it impacts your financial picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I get it. There's a big peace of mind that comes from that. But again, you want to make sure that you are, I guess sometimes people get kind of focused on, let me get this paid off. But I certainly bad debt would be something I would definitely focus on.
Sure, yes.
Depending on more than the mortgage. Again, depending on your mortgage rate too. So
right. If you've got a high mortgage rate, then definitely you don't want to carry that. And as you say, any other debt, if you've got really high debt on credit cards or things like that, you want to get that paid off before you retire.
Okay. Let's see. What's number 8 of our total 10 here? Risk. Most people just say, Liz, how can I avoid it? What's a better question? What's a better way to think about risk?
The better question is, what is the right amount of risk for me to take for my goals and my time horizon? Because avoiding risk, let's say that means staying completely out of the market. Well, that just creates a different kind of risk, because if you can avoid one risk over here, you may be opening yourself up to other risks in a different area, such as you don't keep up with inflation. And as a retiree, if you need money to pay your bills in 10 years and you haven't invested in something that's going to grow enough to help you keep up with inflation, then you're going to be behind. With just 3% inflation, a retiree loses 25% of their purchasing power every 10 years.
Wow.
So that's important to keep in mind. You should not have all of your money, in very conservative things that don't keep up with inflation. You shouldn't have it all in things that are, 100% in the market with all of the volatility of that. You've got to balance out the risk, take the right kind of risk for what you need your money to do. And so you've got to ask, well, what is my job for this money? What's the goal? What am I going to use this bucket of money for? And what kind of risk do I need in order to allow it to do that job the very best that it can do that job?
Yeah, and often when we talk about risk, we're talking about market risk. Most people are talking about that, right? Instead of thinking about all the other components of risk too. So don't kind of just confine that to one category, right? Don't confine it just to the market. So, and granted, that's important, right? Time horizon with your market timing and all that kind of stuff, or your market time in the market, I should say. but certainly you got to think about longevity risk, which of course is a great multiplier to everything else. So
yes, it is.
Bear that in mind. All right, number 9. Should I move everything to cash until the market settles down? And this is often a pretty common statement, Liz, when the market gets a little choppy, right? And while it's been a very good year, at times it's been quite volatile here in 2025, and it's still chugging along pretty nicely. But that seems to be the common question when it's like, oh, it's getting shaky out there. Should I just go to cash?
That feels good to people to think, oh, I'll just set it out and I'll be in when everything's safe and I'll be out when it feels more risky. It's really backwards thinking, though, because if you put money in when it's a little more volatile, you actually end up with a better payoff. And that's a very interesting thing that people should think about. But the question to ask is, how can I set up my portfolio so that it can adapt to changing markets without, really losing sight of the overall plan? You don't want to take your money all out of the market or out of whatever investments, sit it in cash and wait for that perfect time to get back in. And in the meantime, you're not on track with your plan. You're falling further and further behind the plan. So you've got to be very careful not to, make a knee-jerk reaction based on how much volatility there is in the market. You want to be sure that you keep that long-term plan in mind and stay on track for that. You can reduce some of those risks on, the bigger risks, or cut back on some of the volatility, but still stay invested so that you're going to meet all of the goals that you need to meet for the long term.
Yeah, and I think, Liz, often we're short-sighted when the market gets volatile in a bad way, right? Because we think, get me out of here. But really, if you've got a good strategy and a plan in place, these are still long-term monies, right? The monies that are in the market are still longer term. Even if you're at retirement's door, ideally, hopefully, God willing, you're going to live another 20 years, kind of thing, right? So these are still longer term monies, but yet it's very human nature to panic and go, I don't like this volatility, get me out of here, right? Instead of kind of keeping the plan in mind that, hey, this is probably short term pain, because the market corrects 4 or 5 times a year. So
and as you say, this is long-term money. So we're back to how can I have the right amount of risk for what this bucket of money is going to do? Well, the money that's in the market with the most volatility should be that 10-year and beyond money.
Yeah. But that's the challenge, right? Is being able to calm your nerves when that's going on, right? So, which is where the advisor comes into play, which brings us to our last one. Typically the question is, when should I meet with my advisor or an advisor, right? What's a better way to think about that? To me, it's more like, what are we talking about when we meet, kind of thing.
Right. That is true. The better question is, what should my advisor and I be reviewing on a regular basis so that I can stay on track, so that my family and I are on track for all of the goals that we have in the future. And of course, that depends on your plan. With my clients, I'm reviewing their tax plan, their income plan, the bucket plan, the investment plan, the estate plan. So I'm reviewing that on a regular basis. We meet if there are things that need to be done. We don't necessarily meet just to meet. In fact, I had a couple that have become clients recently that a previous advisor required them to have a quarterly in-person meeting no matter what. And they found this a very draining process and didn't look forward to it. And I think that's what some people are afraid of, that it's going to be this thing where it's a bit draining and they don't really, there's nothing to do. It just takes up some time. And so this couple are very glad that we're meeting when we need to take action and we need to have a conversation, like it's tax time or, there's something going on. And so I think if you can meet at least once a year, make sure you're not overlooking anything, but then just review your progress and stay updated on, should I save more? Should I spend more? Should I invest differently? Should I make changes in any area? And that could include beneficiaries as well as, financial things. And a good advisor is going to proactively help you stay on top of those questions and then help you decide how often or when to meet.
Exactly. Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, right, Liz, the smart investors or smart, folks getting closer to retirement, they're not just looking for answers. They're looking to ask better questions so that they can get the results that they're after, ideally
to
in
understand.
Retirement. Yeah. Because we want to enjoy our retirement. Most people don't want to have to think about this stuff constantly. That's why they turn to a professional like yourself. And a great advisor, I think, doesn't just hand out that cookie cutter advice. They help you reframe those questions in a way that helps you, as we like to say here, get on your best path for retirement.
Yes.
That's
what we want.
It's cheesy, but it works, right? Because because everybody's path is different. While, we've talked about this 100 times, you and I, but while there's a lot of these things that are very universal, right? The Social Security, the mortgage, risk, all that stuff, that affect us all. How you walk that path is different from person to person to person.
That is very true. And that's what a good advisor helps with, help you figure out your best path.
Yeah.
What fits for you.
What fits for you. So if you need some help and you're not working with Liz already, well, consider giving her a jingle, reaching out to her, getting some time on the calendar. Go to bestpathadvisors.com. That's bestpathadvisors.com, or share the podcast with maybe, friends or loved ones who might want to, listen to the content and see if it's something that sparks some interest for them as well. You can find all of our information again online at bestpathadvisors.com. You can get yourself some time onto the calendar, subscribe to the podcast on whatever app or platform you like using, Apple, Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel as well. So, bestpathadvisors.com. Thanks, Liz, for breaking it down as always. I appreciate your time. Hope you have a great week.
You too. Talk to you next time.
All right. We'll see you next time here on Retire on Your Best Path with Liz Whittaberry.
The preceding program is sponsored by Best Path Advisors, which is solely responsible for its content. Securities offered through J.W. Cole Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through J.W. Cole Advisors. Best Path Advisors, J.W. Cole Financial, and J.W. Cole Advisors are unaffiliated entities. The opinions expressed by Liz Whittaberry should not be construed as specific tax, legal, or investment advice, nor as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Neither J.W. Cole Financial nor its representatives provide legal, tax, or accounting advice. Persons who provide such advice do so in a capacity other than as a registered representative of J.W. Cole. Investing is subject to risks, including the loss of principal. Due to volatility within the markets mentioned, opinions are subject to change without notice. Information is based on sources believed to be reliable, however, their accuracy or completeness cannot be guaranteed.